Hi, everybody. Today I'm with Marijn, who's one of the readers at Daily NLP, and he recently started a blog that I'm going to give you the link to right here below so that you can check it out yourself. And when Marijn sent me the link to his blog, I thought immediately that everyone in the community had to know about him because he's adopting a perspective that I'm trying to impart to everyone on what NLP is really all about. If you're able to get past simply the coaching and past simply the training piece and all the models, how you integrate it into your daily life. So, Marijn, welcome to our conversation, to the call to Daily NLP. Give us a little bit of background on yourself and what you do, how you got into NLP, and your blog project.
I'm Marijn. I'm a quality manager at a medical device software company. And I have grown to this job, and with that, I got some responsibilities, and I have to. My job is to make sure that we are compliant with regulations, create safe products, and in the meantime, convince everybody to follow procedures. And that's not an easy job to do. So that's how I got to NLP. I need some help in getting people to do what they have to do. So last year I started an introduction training. It was a 5-day training, and I got some really good eye openers there. My best example is. I had a training. I gave a training at my work about regulations. Once a year, I do an update, and I did one last year, and it didn't go very well. It was a one-way presentation. I told everyone, "This is the regulation. This has been changed," and I saw people close their eyes during the presentation. It was bad. So then I got the NLP training, and I did. I don't know what the technique was called, but I had to imagine myself sitting across the room and looking at myself from a second position, and looking at what was I doing, how could I improve it, and so on. And it opened my eyes. And the next time, 2 weeks later, I did the same presentation. Didn't change any of the slides, but I completely changed how I did the training. I rearranged the classroom. I involved the people in the training. I did real life examples. And afterwards, people came to me and they said, "This was a very good training." And even my managing director came to me afterwards. He didn't even join the training, but he came to me. "Yeah, I heard the training was very good," and so that worked for me. And so the same way I got some other eye openers, and it proved for me that NLP was really working very well. But when the NLP training was over, I slowly got back to my old routines, and my presentations have changed, but other things have not changed that much. Yeah. So after a couple of months, I thought I want to do more. I learned a lot during the NLP training, and I want to apply it. So that's how I thought of practicing. So I started taking some subject from NLP, studying it and practicing it. But to keep me motivated, I wanted to write about it. And I've been thinking a lot about how to do that. And then I saw the movie Julia and Juliet, I think it's called, where nowadays a woman from the present takes a cookbook and from a cook from yeah, I think the 50s or 40s, and every day she just tries to do a recipe and blogs about it. And I thought, well, maybe that's how I want to do it. And yeah, now I do once a week, share my experiences, and not teach everyone how to do NLP, but how do I do it? What are my experiences?
Well, there's something really interesting about what you mentioned, and I think that attitude, it reminds me of what Tony Robbins shared with us when I started training with him. Is that you know, when he started training, after the first few days, he was doing, I guess, the equivalent of what would be practitioner back in the early 80s, and within the first few days, he was turning around to his classmates, and he was just around psychologists and psychiatrists, and he said, like, let's go find some people and cure them. And the people said, the other participants said, well, no, this is a 6-month certification class, and we have to go through training, then through approval and all that. And Tony was like, well, we already learned the skills. Let's go out and apply them right away. And what I'm seeing you do here is doing just that. It's just like, okay, I went through this class and immediately I have this training opportunity. Let me implement what I've learned into this and just begin. Because the thing is just we think about the certifications and the certificates as something that, okay, well, now I'm allowed to. But the thing is, NLP is just, if you learn one particular skill, or you read something, or you watch a video, just take it and go out and make all of your interactions better based on that, right?
Yeah, I did after the NLP training, I did an online practitioner training and a master training. And yeah, I do have the certificates, but they don't mean anything to me. Yeah. If you look at my blog, you see the headline, you only become a practitioner if you practice.
Yes.
So yeah, you have to do it.
Yeah, well, what's really cool, once again, about what you're saying is that, you have the certificates, just like me, I have the certificates. I don't care about them. No. And it's oftentimes, I see so many people in trainings, they're worried about the certificates and not worried about skill acquisition, which is really what the crux of the entire thing is. I mean, if you've got the skills, but you don't have the certificates, once again, I come back to Tony. Tony, I don't know if Tony's got any certifications about anything, but he's got the skills, which is what allowed him to build what he's built. And so many others as well follow suit. I kind of like, you look at Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, who never got their university diploma, but yet went on to become the people that university and academia studies. So it's kind of funny how it works. It goes full circle, right?
And also the other way around. I know people who have their NLP certificates, but yeah, I think I know about some things. I know more about it than they do, and they don't apply. And I encounter some situations where I think, why don't you do anything? Why don't you apply those techniques? And yeah, they have the certificate, but they don't use it.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, in your introductory training, what was the skill or the insight that for you was the biggest mind opener? Because you said you had several mind openers during the training, but then I want you to share with us from the training, since you applied it immediately in your own training situation, what was the biggest breakthrough for you?
I think what I just gave you as an example, the way I do my internal trainings, how I convince people to, how I present the new regulations.
Yeah, but what I'm asking you is like that specific distinction. What did you take from what insight did you take that when you applied it and it worked, you were like, oh, wow.
I wanted people to laugh during the training.
Awesome.
I wanted them to enjoy, and the moment I heard their first laugh, that was the moment I thought, yeah, it worked. That's what you meant.
Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
Okay. Yeah, that was that was my moment.
How did you pick that up? Is that something that you noticed was happening in the NLP training, or the trainer specifically spoke about humor and laughter as a means to get people to open up?
No, it was something I I came up with myself. It was during the taking second position. I had to look at how did I do it before, and how could I improve it. And yeah, it just came up. I don't know how.
It was spontaneous, right?
Yeah, I think it's for me when I go to a training, I enjoy it most when there's laughter, when people enjoy the training. Uh, I've been studying accelerated learning a bit, and that's about the whole body experience of learning. So the more senses you put into training and learning, the more you learn. And well, laughing helps a lot in keeping the mind open and getting people to learn.
Awesome. Yeah, and one other thing that's interesting, like a good insight, is not only you had, like, you applied it immediately, but I want people to realize how you had an end in mind. I mean, based on the fact that you're a trainer, it's kind of like when you're learning NLP, you're learning it in a context. You're not learning it just free for all. I'm curious about this body of knowledge, that seems pretty interesting. It's like you're trying to improve your results in a specific area. And so that way, when you went to the training, you could immediately take practical tools that you could turn around and immediately put them into practice. And that's really, really important, because some people are curious about NLP, but they don't really know what they'd like to improve or update or change or modify. And that makes a huge difference, I think.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you is that, well, now I feel you're digging into rapport at a deeper level on your blog. What are you looking to improve? Like, in which areas of your life are you starting to look and pay attention and say, these are some areas where I can bring in some NLP skills?
Mostly both professional and both and private, I think. As you may notice, I'm a bit stumbling over my words, and because this is also stepping out of my comfort zone, and that's something I want to do more and more to enlarge my comfort zone. Could you repeat the question for me?
Yeah, it's which other areas of your life, other areas of your life are you, because you've obviously already applied it to your professional life in the training realm. I mean, you've got immediate success from applying it. So now, in which other areas of your life are you turning to and say, I'm gonna take some NLP skills and bridge them over to this particular part of my life or this other one?
Well, I got some cases where I got immediate success, but other cases I wanted more. I didn't get the success I wanted, and I want to get more practice and get more skilled in those techniques to know how to speak with people, listen to people, understand them. So that's what I want to improve, because the NLP has so many techniques, and for example, all the Meta model and the Milton model, those are I can't wait to start with them. I want to do this first, step by step.
Yeah, they're pretty complex beasts. And it's also, I mean, it's interesting you're bringing up the meta model and the Milton model. I think that people, and that's one of the things also that's really important to impart to people, is that when you're working on the meta model, the way it's presented and the way it's usually taught, when you read it in Structure of Magic, for instance, what they're doing there is showing you the meta model of language and therapy. Yeah. And oftentimes what we see is that and I mean, I've been at Daily NLP started 12 years ago. So I've interacted with a great many people since it started. And I'll even get trainers and master practitioners who they don't feel confident and comfortable in using the meta model because they still think of it in terms of, predicate violations, well-formed condition violations, and challenges, and it's very confrontational. I mean, the meta model itself, if you use it textbook, it's designed to be used in a coach's office or a therapist's office. And when you take the meta model out of those circumstances, if you don't dig down into it and understand what it's really trying to tell us, and how you can adapt the language to be able to speak in everyday situations with people, it's a complete failure because it's gonna break rapport. The rules of rapport. I mean, you've read my rapport, my principles of rapport, right?
Yeah.
So when you use the meta model as taught traditionally in NLP within the context, within the frame of a therapist's office, you could use it textbook, but if the frame of rapport is a different context and you use it the way it's taught, you're going to break rapport every single time, guaranteed.
Yeah.
So it's digging down further in the roots, kind of like what I did with the rapport report. You dig down into meta model and unveil what's beyond it. And once you get to it, now I'm able to work with it. And the way that it's taught traditionally in NLP fits within that broader understanding of how language really interacts with what people are saying. So,
and that's what I want to do with my blog. I understand the meta model in general. I did some exercises with it, but now I want to experience it, and I want to understand when I go too far, when I am on the right path, and that's what I want to blog about. So those are the experience I want to share.
I noticed your last blog post too. You're already starting on a mini modeling kick, right? I mean, you watched Forrest Gump, and then you noticed some patterns emerging, and you formulated a question, right? Do you want to share that with the people, what you observed? I thought it was really neat how your mind worked on something that you'd seen already so many times, but you were able to bring forth some really great value from it.
Yeah, well, it's about when you want to buy a car, you look to all kinds of cars, and when you think, well, I want to buy a BMW, then everywhere you see a BMW, and I think that's the same here. Now that I'm working with NLP and constantly thinking about the techniques and the frameworks, and then things you get to notice things. So last week I was home because I was sick, and I started the movie Forrest Gump. I couldn't do anything more because I didn't have the energy, and it was nice to see that as Forrest Gump says, stupid is as stupid does. Yeah, he just has a great view on the world. He's so objective and positive minded, and if he wants to go running, he goes running. If someone asks him, have you found Jesus yet? He says, I didn't know I had to look for him. And the simple view of the world that it showed me that sometimes I just make things too complex for myself, and it doesn't have to be that complex. That was what I thought more this time when I watched the movie.
There was something really interesting that you quoted that first dialogue with Lieutenant Dan when he says, have you found Jesus yet? Because I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for him. it's such an example of lateral thinking. I mean, the way, the place his mind goes when he hears that question is a completely different place where most of us minds would go, right?
Yeah.
It's so entertaining about it. But and the thing is, your question at the end, I think, is that's really a neat question. It's like, how would Forrest respond?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not easy to always think about that question, but well, sometimes just when I'm stuck in thoughts, I just have to do it like Forrest Gump. Objective.
yeah, it's true. I honestly, I really wonder like how far that sort of operating system, because it looks really great in the movies, but how far that operating system, if we operated just like him, I wonder how far it would take us. I don't know if anyone's ever done that experiment, but
No, well, it's a bit of a child's view, I think. Children can be very direct, and yeah, they also have the simple way of thinking, and sometimes it's not bad to think like that.
tell us a bit about your roadmap right now, based on what you've learned and what you've applied and where you're going now. What are your next steps? Because you mentioned the meta model, Milton model. Expand a bit for us. What's your roadmap for going further and learning NLP right now?
I don't think I have it defined that detailed. Well, I've set some goals for myself, some long-term goals, both professionally and personally. Yeah, they are mostly about improving my communication. Now I'm talking in English, and this is an uncomfortable situation for me. So that now I'm stumbling over my words, but yeah, that's something I want to improve. And first things were the rapport building and the sensory acuity, and yeah, then I just look at what can I do next to go to the next step to get to my goal, because yeah, it helped me a lot to make my goals clear. That's my outcomes. That's something I learned from NLP as well. So this year I started with really clearly defining my goals, doing the ecology check, future pacing and all, just to make it all clear. And yeah, now it's a step-by-step process. Each time I look at where am I and where do I want to go next? What's the next step? Yeah, I've drawn a picture of a building, and each floor is a step in the process, and on the roof is my end goal, and that's. But I don't know what the next floors are exactly. But yeah, that's how I pictured my goal.
Yeah. See, for everyone listening, this is also really interesting. I mean, you're picking up on Marijn's model and representation of how he's basically modeling his goal setting process. And I was fascinated when he said it's like a building and every step is floors, because that metaphor in and of itself carries with itself a series of I guess advantages, and it's got structure and it's layer and it builds on top of one another, and most importantly it's solid. So
it helps me. I'm a visual person, and I like to draw sometimes, and yeah, it helps to make it visual to me, so I can look at the picture of the building and I see where I am and what I've done already and where I need to go. So yeah, it helps me to get the picture.
Super. Yeah. I'd be curious. I mean, for you who's watching, you can leave in the comments below, how do you represent that? What's your process? Because oftentimes, like when we hear someone's metaphor, it frees us a little bit of the confines of the way we think. I mean, what Marin's offering here is, it's kind of like, if you model him, he's offering an alternative. It's a different way. Tonight, because I always play with this when I'm talking to someone, I'm going to play with thinking of my goals in terms of buildings, because I've never done it before, and see how that feels, how that sits. And I invite everyone watching to do the same thing, and also to share what your metaphor is. I mean, some of my clients before, they think literally of a road, and they reach, milestones, and at the end there's a destination, which is something completely different in metaphoric sense from what you've just shared. And so, other people, they think in terms of relationships, and they see diagrams, spirals where, they're circling around until they get to the center. So it's really, really fun, like different ways of thinking about it.
Yeah, that's true. And this is how what I said about my blog. I know that setting outcomes and goals is the first thing you do in NLP. But the way you do it, that can be different for everyone. And this is what I found out that works for me. And someone else can do something completely different. Maybe record a tape. I don't know. It can be anything.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's just the attitude. You shared that in one of your articles too, which is so important. Let me see if I can pull this up. I think it might have been your very first one. Let me look at it here. And so it begins. No, that wasn't it. Let me see if it's this one. Yeah, exactly. It's how NLP can give new insights, where you write, if what you do is not getting the outcome that you want, then do something different. And that's really the attitude. I mean, when I'm mentoring, for instance, a new coach, and they're really worried about getting everything right, and what I'm telling them is, go in, because with your client, you're experimenting, you're trying things on. What you're really doing is you're helping them find the way that works for them. It's not necessarily having the way and then they have to fit in the way. It's just, here's this buffet. If you want to think of your goals, well, here's a possibility. You could think of it in terms of a building. Yeah. You could think of it in terms of a road. What works best for you?
Yeah, and that's how I experience NLP. During the training, you get all the techniques and all the ways you can do it, and then you have to find your own way. And if you don't do it, then you get back to your old routines and haven't learned anything.
Yeah.
Well, you have learned it, but you don't practice. But I want to practice it.
So I'd love to hear you share a big, if you had like a big piece of advice for people who are just getting started and like really, really at ground zero. They might have read something, or maybe watched a video, or they've seen Tony Robbins and they got more curious. Since you're on the way, what tip or what advice do you have for someone who's just beginning the journey? What do you recommend based on how you got started?
What I said, setting goals is a very good one. Making clear what you want, where you want to go, and really getting the NLP presuppositions, understanding them. For example, the map is not the territory. That was a real eye opener as well for me. That everybody has his own view of the world. The one you just said. If something doesn't work, try something different. Yeah. If you have that mindset, it helps so much to get where you want to go, especially when you have your goals and you do something to get to your goal, but it doesn't work. I read something from Tony Robbins. He said, you know what you are doing, but it's like a fly bumping into the glass all the time, into the window. And if you want to make it work, you have to step back and look for another way. Otherwise, you keep bumping your head on the window, and it won't work. So yeah, my advice would be set your goals, make it completely clear where you want to go, and yeah, go there step by step, and learn. Well, not learn, just understand the NLP presuppositions.
So, yeah, and you're inviting people to really dig down into the principles themselves,
Yeah,
not just limit themselves to technique.
yeah, the technique. I think that's the next step. If you, yeah, they don't work if you don't understand those principles.
Guys, I really wanted to invite Marijn to share his insights with us. Check out his blog. I mean, I'm linking to it here. It's nlpinpractice.home.blog. I think it really behooves everyone to just follow him as he digs deeper into his insights, because he's sharing his process. And that's really, really rare. Generally, I mean, if you go to Daily NLP, oftentimes you'll see me offer like a cooked lesson or a cooked insight. But what's really, really cool about what Marijn's doing is he's sharing his thinking process as it's happening. And that's really, really rich. And it's rare that you have the opportunity to do it. Everything that he shared with you here today, it's all principle based. I mean, you're seeing like his focus is really on understanding what lies underneath. It's not technique. When I read him, I wanted to bring him in, share that with you. It's a really valuable perspective. So I invite you to connect with him, visit his blog, sign up to get updates when he publishes updates. I'm on his blog as well. And, if anybody else is interested in doing the same thing, I mean, connect with him, start your own blog. It's a great way to build your learning and your insight and keep developing and mastering NLP.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Any parting words, Marijn?
No, any advice for me? You've seen me now, and yeah, you've been blogging and sending emails regularly, so maybe you have some advice for me.
Yeah, one piece of advice. You're in the Netherlands, is that where you are?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. You have one really great advantage, is that you speak another language, and you have to make what you learn in NLP work in Dutch as well.
Yeah.
And so it's like one of the big things for me that helped me learn NLP very quick is that I had to make it work in French and in Portuguese. And so there's certain like language patterns that won't work, especially when you get into the Milton model, the phonetic ambiguities that work in English. You have to come up and be creative with them for them to work in a different language. So in order for that to happen, you really have to understand the principle.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say is like the more you bridge between Dutch and English, the faster you're going to learn. So if you're able to transmit also in Dutch, if you're able to teach it, maybe you don't have to write about it, because like keeping a blog in 2 languages, I tried to do it and I quit like very, very quickly. But if you speak about it, you're going to be able to pick up on a lot of really great insights to further your learning.
Yeah.
As far as the blog goes, what I'd say is keep doing what you're doing and map out your thread. Sort of always tell people, you've kind of been doing this too. My next blog is going to be about this. Mm-hmm. But just keep going with the length of what you're doing. And as far as email people and share with them, what's on the blog. Keep them updated. Because oftentimes with blogs, people are going to stumble upon you, and someone like me is going to recommend your blog. They're going to go in. But then if they sign up to get updates, then just tell them, I've just posted this really cool thing, that's what I did at the beginning. I blogged every single day when I started. And I think, I blogged every day for 60 days. And for people who signed up, I just told them, I just posted about this, go and check it out. And people went and checked it out. And that's how, I got the ball rolling. So, I'd say, just keep going.
Yeah. Thank you.
So awesome. It's great to connect with you. And yeah, hopefully let's stay in touch. I'm going to be up with your blog, and don't be surprised if I invite you for another chat in a little bit, because I really like what you're doing. And I think at some point you're going to be posting an insight, and I'm going to want to, dig in with you on it.
Sure. No problem.
Sounds good, Marijn. Well, great connecting with you, and well, we'll be speaking again soon, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, my pleasure. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.